If you're a lesbian who wants to fuck the fish man in this movie, that is 100% justified, not gonna judge you. Welcome back to Ricky's Rant, Rave, and Review, and we're still going over the Oscar nominations. I'm a little behind on this, but I watched two of them last night. Gonna try to post both those reviews today, and right now we're doing The Shape of Water, so let's dive right into this. That was an unintentional pun. So, title suggests Rant comes first, so here's my rant for this movie. I have very little that I found wrong with this movie. It was really hard for me too, because I'm just such a huge fan of Guillermo del Toro's work, and I just love monster movies, and I'm partial to romance movies. I don't usually like them, but this was just a good-ass romance movie along with being a monster movie. So there's one thing that I found wrong with this movie, but it was just like more of a nitpick. And I'm going to try and leave spoilers out of this one because I know I did it in my last two movie reviews, but this movie was just so... It doesn't take a whole lot of turns. It is just pretty straightforward plot with like only two big reveals in it, so I don't want to spoil those. And plus, this is one of those movies where like I want people to watch it and then get a good emotional reaction out of it, and then talk about spoilers with other people who have seen the movie. So I'm going to try to leave spoilers out of this review. But the main nitpick that I have, it's something with Eliza. As soon as they say it, you'll probably get what I'm catching on to. It's something that relates to her backstory, and then you'll hear it and be like, oh, okay, I get where this is going. And then at the end, it goes exactly where you think it's going, which isn't always bad in a movie, but just like in Guillermo del Toro movies, I always expect like twists and turns, and like it's fine to have straightforward plots, as I just said, but I was just like, okay, that's kind of super predictable, but like I was fine with it. The payoff was great, so that was literally all I had wrong with this movie. It was just like one itty bitty nitpick, and then the rest of this just blew me out of the water again with these unintentional puns. Jesus Christ! Now, as for the rest of this movie, that's literally all I'm going to be talking about for the rave part of this video. Like, it was so good. I, again, had very few things negative takeaways from this movie. The direction's good. The plot is straightforward yet enticing and just engaging. There wasn't a moment when I was bored. There wasn't a moment where things felt too slow or when I was going like, all right, let's pick this up. It's all it's very well paced, and the parts that are slower, it's slow not because like stuff's dragging on, but it's slow just like to build tension and be like, oh my god, we gotta create an emotional reaction to get to the next scene, and that's what it does. It does that very well. The characters in this movie stand out so well. Like, Sally Hawkins as Eliza is amazing. I've heard some people say that his sign language was like kind of but that's because like she doesn't sign naturally, and like she didn't study it for years for this role, which is fine. That's what I was expecting. I'm not fluent in sign language, but if you're someone who either studies sign language very proficiently, or you don't speak sign language, Jesus Christ, or if you speak, or if you sign naturally, if that's your first language, and you see this, and just like throwing it out there, Sally Hawkins' sign language is not the best, but like that's kind of expected. But going off of that, her character Eliza never speaks in this movie. The fish man never speaks in this movie, and yet despite that, their exchanges with sign language and like just body language and expression are so good. It makes them both such compelling leads without either one of them having to say a single word. And it's really amazing because it just shows how good Guillermo del Toro is at direction, how good he is at writing, because you do have to write this out. You have to like write and able to direct, and then you have to cast good people, and it all shows. This was just done. You can tell there was a lot of heart and love going into this because all the actors just just shoot it out of the water. Again, another pun. That one was kind of intentional, but whatever. Everything that they do, you can tell that they put a lot of time into this, because like Tavia Spencer's character, although she doesn't have the most screen time, she still comes off as very lovingly when it would have been, how do I phrase this? She's the friend in most movies that's supposed to be the sidekick. I don't like calling her that, but like she's meant to be the sidekick, and and instead of being like written off as, oh, this is a sidekick who just does stuff, it's like she has, again, her own little side thing that makes you care about her, that she talks about throughout the movie, and then when it finally does build up to that reveal of her little side thing, it's like, oh wow, that actually ended up paying off because like she is vital to the plot. And going more on to side characters, you have Michael Stuhlbarg as the doctor, and then you have Richard Jenkins as the neighbor, whose names I've forgotten. I'm terrible at this, but their characters also, again, could have just brushed off as, oh, one-note side characters who were there to serve as one single plot, as a single plot device, but again, they're very fleshed out. They have their own backstories that make you not only care about them, but they end up being vital to the plot. And it's just really a lot of heart and love went into this. Like, none of the characters feel one note. None of the characters feel like they're just there as an obstacle or as like a road to go down. It's like, oh, here's one character who we have to talk to get to this. Here's one character that we have to fight to get to this. It's never that. It's very, here's a character that we introduce who is introduced because we need them here, and here's a plot divide, and here's a plot point that we need them to actually get to. It's never, you don't get any, I can't really think of anything to compare it to, but if you've seen a movie that's not as good as this, you get what I mean with side characters being like roads for like plots to go down and then are just like never addressed again. Like, I feel like that's pretty easy to understand. And one last thing I want to talk about before I wrap this up is Michael Shannon as the villain. Holy shit. He was scary. He was a scary guy, and this wasn't even a horror movie. Like, I saw It 3 times this year. I've watched It Follows like 5 times this year, and he is just such a good villain. And then he's like a human villain too. Like, so often in these types of films, when you have a villain, it's like, oh, he's the villain, but he's secretly also maybe not human because government experiments. That's a thing that goes on in this. Spoiler, not spoiler. It's in the trailer. But they keep him so amazingly human that it makes his character that much more important. Because it's never like, oh, he's the bad guy, but what if he's different? Because, it's like, oh, he's the bad guy because people are actually like this, and also it's the 60s. We've got to have racism, homophobia, ableism, anti-Semitic stuff. It's just, they hit on all the, oh, this is bad because it's the 50s/60s, but they hit on it too as, oh, this is bad because, like, this is actually, like, a bad man. They don't use him as just a bookshelf for all the shit that was wrong in the 60s. They use him as, like, an actual person. And that's, all the characters are just so amazingly human in this, and it's so good. And Michael Shannon just, blew me out of the water. I keep saying that, but this movie really just blew me out of the water with everything that it did, and, it's so good. So, all in all, that's pretty much all I have to say without getting too deep into spoilers, because if I keep talking, I'll accidentally end up spoiling the whole thing, and like I said, I don't want to do that. If you haven't seen this movie, please go check it out, because it just creates such a unique experience. Like I said, the plot's very straightforward. Fishman in captivity. Eliza falls in love with Fishman, gets her friends to help her break him out. They have sex. Yes, the fish sex is in this. Not gonna say anything getting a spoilers. But it's just such an amazing journey to watch. The emotions you'll feel during it are just so... You don't get this from any other romance movie. It's just such an amazing film. I'm giving it 5 out of 5, which is rare for me. 5 out of 5. I had one thing wrong with this movie, and it was just a nitpick, so go check this out. And that's my review on The Shape of Water. Did you like it? Did you hate it? If you hated it, do you have a heart? I'm usually open to, like, most people's opinions on movies, but, like, how can you dislike this movie? It's like, what's wrong with you? But did you like it? Did you hate it? Comment down below your review. Comment down below what you'd give it. Did you give it a 5 out of 5? Did you give it a 4? What'd you give it? Let me know. Show up in like a couple of hours, because the Lady Bird review is also going up today, and I kept talking about that one too. So let's see how that one turns out. Thanks for stopping by. Lady Bird's up next, and then Dunkirk and The Darkest Hour next week.